Hey everybody, today we have a very special guest, Mike the Machine Bruce. For those who don't know, he's been known to have the strongest neck in the world, and I did an interview with him years ago on neck and yoke training. So today we're back for round two. He's going to share his knowledge and wisdom on strength training while providing some amazing lifestyle advice as well. So Mike, it's a great honor. Welcome back to the show. So who is Mike the Machine Bruce? Can you tell us about your best lifts and training accomplishments?
Yeah, so I started back when I was 13 years old. Started training my neck. I came up with it's now kind of gone mainstream with people with neck training. I came up with an idea of training your neck 3 sets of 100. No matter how many times I specify that in videos, whatever, people constantly ask why, or there's too much endurance, so on and so forth. Look, it's like I always say, there was no one around back then, even in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding or the Joe Weider bodybuilding book that tell you how to train your neck. I was an amateur wrestler, really skinny, and was getting ragdolled all the time. I figured if I built enough endurance and musculature at the same time, I wouldn't get ragdolled all the time, thrown around like dirty laundry. So later on in life, I became known for setting a 300-pound seated neck lift record with my neck in 2007 in Lakeland, Florida. I also picked up, back before the rack pull, posture pull, or the pull that people say are no good and all this other idiocy, I picked up 1,500 pounds at a body weight of 202 in Lakeland, Florida, with a gentleman named Bud Jeffries who was there, so it's all validated. There is pictures, because again, as you know, Alex, there's a bunch of knuckleheads that want to run their mouth, saying how, well, if there's no video, it's not proof. Well, back when print was still cool, it was in 2 of the top national bodybuilding magazines that came out. So if it wasn't legit, it wouldn't be on it. So anyway, I did that. I did my best deadlift for a triple was 645 at 198 with no straps. I bend steel across the front of my throat, have horseshoes bent in front of my throat, hung myself with a noose, which is banned on YouTube. They took that video down. I did a top end deadlift, which is where you come out of the rack and go all the way down, kind of like a variation of a Romanian, some people say. My best was 695 for single, and there is video of that for all the clowns that want to talk trash. So that's pretty much about it. I'm not too much into doing, bodybuilding type things. So that's probably more what I'm known for is the neck and the back end of my deadlift strength before my injury of three years ago.
So how are you training these days?
I still train now as if I was a competitive wrestler, even though that's not the case. So I'll do like rounds. I'll pick certain exercises that I feel that are best for me. And I always have neck involved in that, of course. And then I will do 20 to 30 reps if I'm doing a more of a conditioning type aspect, or I'll do an 8 or a 6 rep aspect heavy, but it's 5 exercises, 5 rounds, no rest. And then you rest maybe 30 seconds, tops maybe a minute, and start again.
Well, it seems to be working very well, and you've managed to maintain your shape. So how close are you to your prime?
Well, according to a lot of the knuckleheads on YouTube that say evil, mean, nasty things, supposedly I'm on steroids. So I guess my training that I've been doing for the past 6 months or so is working because I'm not on any gear, never have been on gear. I'm almost 45. I weigh 198 pounds. I always stay in between 10 pounds of my prime competition weight. So I guess, people that know me in my gym say my shoulders are rounded and it's bigger in my lats, and then my neck is, I don't think it's quite 20. I haven't measured in a while, but I know it's 19, a little over, unflexed. And I think it's probably just unflexed. Yes, sir. I think it's probably just as good as it was at my prime year of competition at 198, which is, I think 19 years ago was the last time I competed. So I feel real good. My waist is smaller.
I think it's the fact that you built your physique naturally and have been at this game for decades. That which is built long term typically remains. No shortcuts, right?
That's right. See, people don't understand. I've been trained since I was 13. I'm 44, almost 45, nonstop, except with the exception of a pec tear in 2005 and then with my back injury. So if you stay at this all the time and you keep training and you don't just stay stagnant where you were the day before and you keep logs, and you actually keep pushing, moving freaking forward, things happen. So if people say that I look like I'm on juice, or, look, as far as my strength goes with chins and dips, that's another thing. The reverse grip dip was something I was known for the amount of weight I did. And I don't think anyone else has done that yet. Not even, a couple of guys like Bugenhagen and stuff. And he's a good dude. And that specific grip. You can still attain things even when you get into your middle ages and be better than you were, when you were younger. I basically think a lot of guys just want a quick fix and to get built quick. And then you'll see them in your, you go to the gym, they'll be the size of this, like a stack of diamonds, like a neck, right? Next thing you know, they're all here and they're walking around. They got their arms flailed out, like they look like the Terminator Frankenstein. And then the next couple months after that, their back shrunk again, right? So I've been doing videos since 2007. I have always looked either like I do now, or sometimes I'm a little bigger. Back before the injury, I'd be like 216, 218. It's always the same. So there's a history there, right? And the same with you. you see from your earlier videos, which I've seen, where you were smaller, you had the hair all prettied up, right? Looked like a pretty boy curled over, right? I mean that in humor, of course. And then you grew, now you became a much bigger fella than you were before, right? So it shows what? It shows consistency, and it shows what? Always staying on point, right? Always moving forward. So I think they just look for a quick fix. I guess I probably could have said that. We would have been done with the topic, quick fix. So,
You mentioned reverse grip dips. What are the benefits of this exercise and why do you do it?
okay, the reason why is that I had specific dip bars, again, back to Vince Durant. Thankfully, I train in my gym. One of my clients owns a steel shop. So I said, I want this replica of this dip stand, because the dip stands now you buy, they're always what? Straight, right? They never come out into a V, because someone probably deemed that's bad on your shoulders or what have you, right? So it became unpopular. So I took online, you can find Vince Durant's measurements for his dip bars, and I had that built. So in the normal dips, like we've seen you do, and I like to say I rebuke and hate, because there's not a lot of people that I look at online on YouTube, and I think that guy is super strong. I'm not into this whole new thing he's doing with the wrestling and all that stuff, but the guy knows his stuff. So anyway, we all three of us have gotten really strong at normal dips. So I thought, with my torn pec, because I never had it, the VA misdiagnosed me, I never had it repaired. I thought, maybe I'll try this way, because that's the way Larry Scott did it, and that's the way Vince Durant did it. And again, I said I don't care for the current bodybuilding, but back in the day, and then what they say is that there's more chest activation when you dip this way, kind of resembles a decline press, I guess. And I just started messing around with it, and then like anybody else, if you stay with it, you start progressing. I said, man, I'm getting pretty strong at this. What the weight I used to be able to use on a normal dip, I was now able to do in this position. Then I just kept going. I said, well, I don't have any goals right now, really. I'm not going to compete in Masters Division grappling or anything. And I thought, let's see how far I can push this without, really damaging a pec or something, and that's when I did that 545s between my hanging on my waist in that position. It is a lot harder because it takes the tricep out. It's more of a mostly just pec. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I did it, and that's I had the bar made. So after I did that, if I kept doing it, I think I could have went even more, but I thought, how much further I want to push the envelope, because that was so heavy, and considering this is detached, here's the tendon, it's supposed to be up here. I just kind of thought, how much more do I want to go? So I talked to a couple of my buddies that are in the strength world that are pretty well-known guys, and I said, what do you think? And there's really nothing else to prove. You've already been there, Maybe if someone else comes out and does more weight than that, maybe I might try, might motivate me. But I just kind of stepped away because I felt I achieved what I wanted. And if I tried to push more, I don't know if the risk to reward would have been worthwhile.
So what are some of your top arm exercises?
Most of the stuff I do for arms, I like hammer curls. And I've always said in my videos, I'm not a big fan of doing bicep or arm work. Never really have been. I always feel that my biceps got their growth via all the chin-ups and pull-ups I do. And I still do chin-ups and pull-ups. I really just think that's a great thing. I never want to not be able to pull myself up, Lord forbid, of something. I just have a mentality still, if something happened, I had to pull myself up out of somewhere or something. So most of my bicep development, I say, is from all of the years of doing heavy chins, heavy pull-ups, as well as doing dips, both normal position as well as, even though it doesn't do as much tricep. The only thing I really do, if I do arms at all, is I will do a low incline, not up here, but low. And I'll do hammer curls where you turn around and you pull your elbow back, and when you push your thumb down, okay? So it stretches for the cephalic vein, and when I come up, I pull the elbow back. I really like that a lot. I do that on a preacher curl or a low incline, and I do 4 sets of 8, or I'll do 8 sets of 8. But it's at a fast pace. I only take about 15 seconds, 30-second rest. So the weight is not as heavy as you usually could do. Even do a 4x8, I keep my rest period low. And then triceps, the only thing I like to do for triceps, I'll do either an overhead with a long rope, which is a Gironda principle, and you lean forward, or I built an old school pedestal bench, which is what Vince had in his gym, I guess. I copied again, had it built, and just put your back of your elbow and triceps on the pedestal, lean forward on your knees, chin down, and then go with the rope out. So that hits the long head. I don't know if there's actual truth to that, because I think the tricep just moves up and down, just like the bicep moves up and down. So I don't know if you really can work the 3 heads or you can't. I don't know.
Can you talk about your injuries and the benefits of getting more out of less weight?
The thing was, back in the day I got hurt in the Marine Corps, which was way, way back in the 90s, right? Unrelated to lifting. Yeah, strictly in the military. After that is then when I started competing in what's now MMA, which was back in the day was not known as MMA. And I competed in amateur from 1996 to 1999. Then I got my pro card and fought pro for a brief time. So my back never bothered me. So I always pushed myself to see what I could do and never had to worry about, oh, I'm going to get hurt. Even when I tore my pec in '05, it didn't stop me from still pushing. Okay, there was something that led to the pec tear where I didn't warm up properly, what have you. Well, as I've gotten older, I pay attention. If I see other people in other gyms and whatnot, I see people that are half my age, and I don't mean this in arrogance, but I'm still performing at a level that even better than I did 20 years ago. And there's not many people my age that can do what I do. I mean, they might bench press better. I'm saying what I do though. I can still hang, and I'm still doing. My numbers don't lie; they're still going up on things I focus on, right? But the back injury was so severe. The only way I beat it was by chiropractic care. The surgeons said I needed surgery. It wasn't emergency surgery; it needed it. And to have 2 mental breakdowns as a grown man that comes from a horrible childhood, that back then, when I had the problem when I was 13 as a kid, I was on medication, seeing a counselor, all this kind of stuff. Well, as a grown man, you have a breakdown, you feel helpless because everything you've built for yourself due to your childhood, you now feel unless you have a gun to protect yourself or your wife or what have you, you're done. It was like everything that was me was taken away. So now I do still push, but I only push on things that I know are not going to force me to face that risk of getting injured. I mean, we can always get injured, but like deadlifting, like I love to deadlift. That was my favorite exercise back in the day, but it's just not worth me going to try that. So like I said earlier, I might do a 4x8, right? Well, 4x8, if I'm curling or pressing, that's going to be a heavy 8. It's not going to be a light 8. You understand? So that's a heavy. But if I'm doing 8x8 or 6x6, and the rest periods are shorter, you're not going to go as heavy as you would because obviously your recovery is not going to be there, right?
Okay. So what are your thoughts on YouTube fitness?
Well, here's the thing. I don't watch a lot of fitness channels because they make me want to puke. I can't stand it. It's like maybe I'm the wrong guy to ask that to because I'm not politically correct, but I can't stand. It's like this guy says this, but he's never done what he's talking about. Then this guy will say this, but then this guy will talk about this guy. This guy will make fun of this guy. They're all copying each other on everything. Most claim to be natural, they're not. Then you got some fat guy that's never done nothing talking about some dude that's ripped but saying he's on drugs. And so I don't even watch. Like I said, I respect you. You've always been nice. I think you got a good thing going. I've never been cared about subscriber base. I put information out that I want to share because my information I'm looking for is not there. Most of the time people are afraid to talk and say what they want. I don't have a problem with that. It's not that I'm a tough guy. I never claim to be. I just think the current fitness thing, what happens is they all get on. If you remember a long time ago, even before you and I met, there was nothing about neck training. It was my channel about neck, and there was like nothing. Now you've got these. Sorry? I believe so, yeah. 2007. So you have these guys with necks that look like these little pinkies, right? But they're telling you not to train your neck or to train your neck. Now neck is the big thing. Before the neck becoming a big thing, it was partial pull, rack pull, lockouts. It's good, it's not good. Well, I was one of the most, and again, it sounds like I'm boasting. One of the most pictures that comes up ever, if you Google that, is a picture of me doing a 1500. And I was doing it for years. I had an ebook that came out in 2008 about that. And it was like, it's not around anymore, but I'm saying nothing was talked about it. I wasn't the first to do that. No one was. It was done way back in the old days. But the point is, then everybody was on the partial rack pull lockout thing, right? Then they're saying, well, don't do that because it's not good. Now I heard, because I was watching one of your videos, that some other thing came up, and now some guy, whoever he is saying you shouldn't deadlift, is bad for you or some crap. And I'm just like, where do these people get this stuff? Just find something you want to do and then see if it works for you, because we're all different, right? We're all built different. So behind the neck presses, that's bad for you. I did those for years off and on. I never had a shoulder problem. I don't do them right now, but I've done them. Never had a problem. But then this guy will say they suck. This is bad. You're going to take your shoulders. It's like, listen, Slick. Step back. Take a deep breath. Find something you want to do, and then try it. And then give it 3 months. And then if you like it, good. If you don't, don't. That's what I think of the current fitness thing. I don't pay attention. I think you got good people with good info, but then no matter who they are, like Athlete X, the guy's got all this accreditation, super nice guy, knows his stuff, but someone's going to badmouth him anyway. Because anytime you have success, they dog you. I just think people in general, I said this the other day in one of my videos, I think that, I don't know how it is in other countries, again, you're in Canada, I'm in America, that people are lacking discipline. Like, I don't understand why you want to dog somebody. If you don't like their content, then all you got to do is go to another channel. It's like, if you don't like what they're saying, go to another channel. Why did you want to, like, people will dog me and talk trash, which is fine, because number one, my neck's so thick, you're not going to make me feel, I'm so confident in myself. My neck's too thick, I can't look down at my feet and be depressed anyway, even if I let these feminine haters get into my mind, which I don't. See, what happens is these people that hate on you, or hate on us, or hate on anybody else, are all jealous. They want what we have, or you have, what have you, and they can't have it. So what they do is they sit back in mommy's house and they type, or they boast and talk all big and bad, and they dog you because they want what you have, but they can't. They're either not going to put the time in, they don't have that kind of fire. Their body just, they don't, they're probably eating, having a beer and drinking eating ho-hos and cupcakes, I don't know. I don't know why people can't just be cool. Like, I talk kind of abrasive because it makes my estrogen go up. Like, put on a skirt, you know what I mean? And I'm not no skirt guy, you understand? Like, I like my wife, yeah, I like skirts, but I'm not going to put a skirt on. But these people just whining and complaining like a bunch of little girls is like, makes my estrogen skyrocket. I gotta go eat a steak to get my testosterone back up.
By the way, how's business? Can you share some tips on living your dreams?
I just celebrated 11 years in business. Yeah, it's amazing, especially considering that I'm not a franchise. I built it by myself. I decided that. That's another thing. People. You can do what you want to do. Like, I get to live my dream and do what I love. I get to not be at work right now, and I get to talk to you. Why? Because I built something that was a dream of mine. I started off small. The main thing is just to start. Too many people talk and they share their information, what they want to do, but nothing ever gets done. And then the people say, well, don't do that. You might not work and you're going to lose money. You get a steady job, back and forth. The best thing to do is, if you have something you want to do, just freaking do it. Don't air it out to everybody. Go for it. That's what I did. I started off in a little 2-car garage. I was blessed to get a certain amount of people. I moved to another place bigger. Then I moved to a bigger place. Now I got my bigger location. I've celebrated 11 years. So, and most people's businesses fail in 5, So I'm just very grateful, especially in what they consider the Bible Belt / poorer area of Kentucky where I live. I'm just grateful. And there's gyms popping up everywhere, but we stand strong.
Passion, drive, and discipline. How does this all fit into training your clients?
Here's the thing. No one is ever, I learned this a couple years ago. With what I'm doing in my gym, none of my members, even though my members are amazing people, no one is going to have the same passion fire I have in that gym, right? They're never going to have the same passion as me. So what has kept me going is that I run it like the Marine Corps, meaning that I could have a lot more people if I just took anybody. But I run it like I'm looking for a few, right? Because here's why. When I go into my business, I don't ever want to say, oh, no, Alex is coming in. This guy wears me out. He drives me nuts. I don't want to work with this guy. I want to get him out of here. Or if I have a lady and all she does is whine and complain, I don't want to deal with that. So I don't advertise, really. All I do is do referrals from in-house people. That way, my core inside there is all people, the streams of people that are all good people, right? So my passion, I don't have to worry about drama and shenanigans and stupidity and wanting to be tough guys like that want to tell me how bad they are, because number one, I'm not impressed. Number two, it doesn't scare me. And number three, I don't train fighters, right? So I screen everybody. So that enables me to keep the nucleus solid, right? The nucleus of the gym is solid. And then I just try to do my best to deliver the best training I can to them, and everybody's different level. So you have a new person, you modify for them, but everybody works out in the same class. I just modify. And I think by not being like, this is what you're going to do on the machine with the volume up, I don't talk to them like that, right? I do that. I talk like that when I'm if I'm amped up, but not to my members. I mean, most of my clientele is ladies for cardio kickboxing, so you don't want me yelling, playing drill instructor in their face, right? So I think the passion I have, being smart, not putting out a bunch of money, do not take loans. If you don't have the money to pay for something, don't pay for it, and make sure you pay Uncle Sam, pay the taxes, and you just move forward all the time. And as long as you put great content, thankfully things have worked for me.
Okay, so since you're known as having the strongest neck around, I want to ask some questions. First of all, can you tell us about the neck flex and the new MMB Pro model? What were the motivations behind this?
Well, what happened was the owners, Tom and Zach, called me, because the people think I own it. I don't own the neck flex company. They just based the harness off of me, which was a blessing. I didn't even know these guys, right? So they said, hey, you have done so much with your neck, we think we need to have a Mike the Machine neck harness. If you were going to have your own harness, that could be the be-all, end-all to neck training. What would it be? What would it look like? What would it be? So then they asked me to help with the development of it. They basically asked me to write what I would want to have my own product, basically. I mean, it's a neck flexed product, but like, so that's where I came up with, we needed a chain, we needed a really good, a decent band that everybody could use, we needed door straps, so that way you don't have to go anywhere else, and that's how it came up. So I was involved with the color scheme, from everything, the design, the band, the chain, everything comes with it, and they said, we're going to call this the MMB Pro Mike Machine Bruce neck harness, and I thought, really? And I was just, at my age, I mean, it just goes to show, like I said earlier, if you never stop, and you always keep training, there's no need to brag and say, I did this, 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 this. If you're asked about it, then share it. Like you asked me, I'll share it, right? But other people will take notice if you do things. There's no need for you to act boisterous and stick your chest out. You know what I mean? And that's like a perfect example. Like, didn't know these two guys from a hole in the wall, but my neck training inspired them to make this certain harness. And then over time, they said, we want you to do your own harness. And that's where we came up with it.
Okay, so have you tested straight weight neck exercises since your injury, or do you only use bands?
No, I have not, because of my back injury. Again, people don't really understand. Like, even though I feel fantastic. I have no problems. I mean, I went back to where I'm from in Massachusetts and visited and got on the mat with my former coach. I haven't been on the mat in a long time with a guy that could stretch me. And my back had no problems. It was all good. But the position of this with a chain and free weight lifting up, I don't know how my back would go with that. So I haven't played with it a lot. I just really like the bands. And so a lot of my neck work is done with the bands. I haven't done any kind of, I haven't even put out a video. I showed an instructional video with the chain, but as far as my regular training right now, no. I might go back to that eventually, but most of the stuff I like to do is just do the neck flex for the front and the rear. I don't do a lot of sides. I've always said that. If I do sides, I'll put the band in my mouth and do rotation. Again, I'm a wrestler by heart. I know I'm not competing anymore, but I like the idea to think that if someone wants to slap me that way, I can still resist.
Okay, so what do you think about those who say the neck flex band isn't heavy enough?
I think that I'm trying to be nice. We agree. We thought what would be the best attention for everybody to use from a beginner to an advanced person. And I just look at it like, even though I don't claim to have the world's strongest neck anymore, I mean, no one has beat my certain neck feats yet, but I cannot do what I did before, right? And nor do I have to. I've already proved what I can do. I don't need to go backwards, right? But my point is, I still to this day believe nobody, I don't care who they are, could hang with me in a neck workout still. And that's how I feel. It's a very strong statement, but I believe it. I think they'd have a hard time. But with that being said, I can still, that band, the 19-pound band, it gives me a good enough workout. All you have to do is step further back, create more tension. It's not about doing low rep. It's a high volume piece. So the higher the volume, the more work you're going to get, right? So it's good for everybody. So if you can get a guy, and again, I'm not the best anymore, but if you can get a guy like me and that can still give me a workout, then why can't it give some other guy a workout? I think, again, it's just people being knuckleheads, because they'll send comments to me or the Netflix saying, well, I want to hook the band to a truck. And I mean, this is pure idiocy, this stupidity. Use the chain to go to a truck, not the band, knucklehead. I mean, that's my answer. I just think it's foolish.
Would you say that bands are superior to free weights for getting a bigger and stronger neck?
That's hard. It's hard to say because the neck flex was not around when I started, and I won't forget. I mean, I don't like living in the past, but I don't forget the past. It's like I built my neck, my 20-inch neck at the time, by using weights and by using a neck harness with the chain. And usually you can never beat the original, the basics, right? The basics lead to mastery, right? So that's your foundation.
Then what do you recommend? Bands or straight weight?
Because honestly, I would say, and again, I don't own the neck flex company, the clowns out there. Here's the thing, with the neck flex, it's a tough thing. With the neck flex, I would pick the neck flex, not because you don't have to be the MMB Pro. I would pick it because if I was still a competitive grappler, wrestler, or whatever, I did both. You can the possibilities are only limited to your imagination. So the neck flex can more so duplicate what you experience on the mat, or if you're a bloody deathmatch guy or whatever, you can't get the same thing with a normal harness or with a plate. So I'd go with the neck flex. Now, as far as building, I haven't used plates with my neck in a long time. I've used the neck flex, and yet my neck is still 19 plus, right? Maybe, I don't think it's 20, but And that's just using a band. So what does that say? Did I already have a foundation built? Yes. But if the bands are no good, then would my neck necessarily shrink because it's not getting the same resistance as if I was putting 2 or 3 plates onto my harness, right? So I would go with the neck flex.
So how strong do you think your neck is now, strictly from band work?
I have no doubt that if I had a 100-pound plate, I could do 100 reps in the neck curl. In the neck curl, I have no. I would be surprised if I couldn't. Because a 100-pound plate is easier to hold. Back before, like the 90, I had to put 245s to get a hold, and they slide. Yeah, I think if you had a 100-pound plate, which we had back before I had my business, you could grip it better. I have no doubt I'd get 100 reps. I think it's also because I know I've done it before, so I'm not going to let it not beat me. Once you've done something, it's not the same equivalent as a deadlift, right? If you step away from deadlifting for a long time, there's no way you're going to pull what you pulled at your best. But with the neck, I have so much muscular endurance and strength in there, I would highly doubt I couldn't. And then the seated neck lift, there's no way that I'd pick up 300 pounds again. There's no way. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. I think I could pick up 200 still, but if I had 200-pound plates, but there's no way I would pick up 300.
I want to ask you a question on rack pulls above the knee since you've done 1,500 pounds in this exercise. When did you start doing this exercise and why?
I started that exercise not when I was competing. So I stopped competing in 2000. Somewhere between 2000 2005, I started doing partial pulls. And I'd pull from below my knee as well as the hand and thigh style. I pulled at, let's see, I never faced any kind of injury, just felt real good. And the reason I was doing that was the whole point, reason I even started that was to hopefully help carry over because I was weak on my lockout on my deadlift. That was the whole purpose of me even starting. It had nothing to do with fighting. Excuse me. Nothing at all. I thought that if I could pull more weight where my sticking point was, that then when I pulled from the floor, if I got up moving, usually if I got up moving towards my knees, I could grind it out and stand up with it. So that was the whole idea why I even did it. I never had any injury, never felt. The only time when I tell people back in the day was when I was doing it regularly was don't go fast. Go fast on explosion, but more do singles because you get too much bouncy action. You'll see some of that stuff. It's like they'll move this much, and it's not doing anything for you. I always set it at the top of my knees is where I set it at. That's where for my rack pull, and that's where I would pull from. So that was the whole reason of me doing it.
Well, from what I've seen and experienced, it's not really a carryover exercise, more so size and building up the traps and static strength. So for you, it's different.
I think my style of wedge, I think, helped me because when I did that, the top end pulls, when I did a 695, I did 675 for, I want to say it was 2 or 3. I don't know. It's all my videos, but I really contribute the ability of my rack pulling to be able to lock that out. Because you'll even see the videos where I'm grinding. It was clean, and I stood up with it. But I don't think I would have been able to have that strength if I hadn't done those. But that's just my opinion. I don't know if there's truth to that.
So you've done rack pulls for how many years then?
Well, 15 years. You think about 2001 to 2015, 14 years. Yeah, yeah. I stick with things I know that work for me. I like to. Too many people get in a hurry. I think haste makes waste. Like if I say, hey, go try this for your side delts. Go put them behind your butt, and come up behind your rear end like this. People will try it long enough to see if it's actually going to cap your delts or not, right? I mean, it's a bodybuilding move, but I don't do a lot of overhead work. So, they won't try it enough. They always want to do something quick and then move to something else. And I stuck with things through trial and error to see if they work for me and because I just like something. So I keep trying to get better and better and better. There's some things I just don't like, so I don't do them.
What about injuries? Can you talk to us about that?
I've never had any injuries except for the torn pec. Training-wise, the only injury I've ever had was the torn pec and a broken thumb. That was it. Never had shoulder problems. People say, oh, you dip, you're going to have shoulder problems. You're going to kill your shoulders. I've never had a shoulder injury, knock on wood. I've never had any injury. No pulled trap. No. I've had zingers. No lower back during training. No. My lower back was never hurt during training. I've had zingers from doing neck work. Anybody that really trains the next one get a zinger, that's no big deal. It's not an injury. Well, let me back up because some knucklehead will be on. Some plebe will say something. I did crack a rib doing Jefferson deadlifts in 2009. Yeah, I cracked a rib. Yeah, maybe like 585. I remember I stood up and the ball it turned. It turned and I think I have video of it and it turned and I tried to turn it back and my rib popped. So I did it, and I think I hurt my forearm once bending still. Because you got to these days you got to make sure you say, well, I did, because some knucklehead will be, oh, well, you did get hurt, and all this nonsense. There we go. That's that.
What do you think contributed to the pec tear?
Yeah, I think it was overuse. and the fact that that area over when it got hurt in 1995, and I never had problems when I competed or anything like that on the mat or anything. And then when I started getting into performing strongman feats, that twisting of the shoe, when you put the shoe over the side and you twist, between that and I think at the time I was doing Jeffersons, which again I wasn't all that great at, but I think this was an accumulation. I think that area was weak, and over all the years of all the damage I put on my body, I think that it was just one of those freak things, and it was just unfortunate that it happened. If it had gone any more closer to my thecal sac, I would have had to have emergency surgery because I would have lost body function. That's how bad it was. I mean, they rated me on a scale of 1 to 4, a 3, which is needing surgery, and 4 is emergency surgery. No, they said I'm the 1%. So they said. They said 1%. The top doctor here where I live, and then my chiropractor and 2 other people, one in Florida, one in Texas. We had a conference call. They said I'm the 1% because the injury is so bad that most people can't handle the first 2 to 3 weeks, which is the worst, and they opt for surgery because that was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. But they said if you get past the first 3 weeks, it's shown that the white blood cells come and start to eat away the debris, and that you can recover. But even my chiropractor won't use me as an advertisement because he said most don't have your drive, and he also contributes a lot of my body, my musculature to a lot of it, and my drive to, train and succeed. So he said I'm not the norm. Most people that had the same injury wouldn't have the same result. Because I did a beautiful post, write up for him for the paper, but he didn't want to put it in because of that.
Would you say it was your drive and strong desire to overcome the odds that led you towards success, since it was like 1%? More mental than physical?
True, but at first I didn't. I mean, I really didn't know. I'd lay on the ground on my back on the carpet and just grip the carpet with my hands and cry. But I never complained. I don't complain. But I just have tears come down my face. My wife would be like, "Mike, what can I do?" And I'll just grip the carpet because I was in so much pain. And I've got 2 big 150-pound bull masters. They're my boys, and they become laying on me trying to help me. They're hurting me worse. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with Daddy? You know what I mean? And they try to get the dogs off me and whatnot. I'm over here gripping the carpet, and they're trying to lick me, and I'm thinking, I'm crying, trying to get the dogs away from me. So it was a tough time, very tough.
So how do your legs look like now without squats and deadlifts? Are they comparable?
I think my legs look just as good as they did before. I mean, I don't put a lot of pictures on. I put a couple of pictures up because you get people saying he's got no legs and all this crap. And usually I don't care. But, I mean, I work my whole body. I'm not into making men excited by showing my legs. You understand? I'm not going to get up and say, well, here you go, buddy. Go here, look at my legs. And I don't run around my banana hammock, going like this, right? So I do hack squats. I've tried. I have a fear of putting a bar on the back and doing barbell squats due to the pushing down, okay? And even at my prime, I never did a lot of barbell squat. I always did Zercher squats because I thought that had good carryover to grappling and deadlifting. So I'm afraid to do those. And this is not worth me trying because for what? I'm not going to go compete in a powerlifting competition. So why? Okay, so I started leg pressing. I bought a unilateral leg press machine for my business, thinking that my left leg's my weak side, thinking I could individually work the leg and still get size. Didn't really like it. It's in my gym, so my clients use it, but it's just I didn't feel I was getting good benefit. Mostly my rear end was getting more benefit than anything, so I didn't like that. Then I bought a leg extension hammer strength. Same thing, unilateral. Gets you a good pump. I think the motion of a leg extension is similar to a barbell squat, very, very close. Didn't really care for it. There's something in my mind, like probably like any other hard charges out there, where you want to push some weight. So I am, blessed to train my primary care doctor when I'm not going to the VA. I said, let me show you some. What do you think of this? So I started doing hack squats, and he said that should bother you because it's pushing down on you. But my back is flat with the pad, so it doesn't bother me. So I'm not going to ramble. So what I do is I do Vince Gironda style frog squat. Heels are together, up on your toes, knees are flared as wide as you possibly can. Chin down, so your back is flat. So your chin's up, the back is bowed. You don't want that. Chin down, and I do hack squats. I like doing singles. Sometimes I'll do a 4x8 or a 6x6. But the problem with that is that I feel if I get a little sloppy and my hips come up, I just have this fear of my back. So I mostly do singles because I only have to focus on that one rep. And I feel the outer sweep of my thighs is probably the best they've looked probably ever, I would say. That's all I do. Hack squats twice a week. Just hack squats, and of course I'll do hyperextension.
How would you rebuild your lower back strength?
Well, how I started off, after my injury, I started off to where I could barely do like 10. So I would do a ladder, 10 down to 1. Then as I got more comfortable, I would do 10 to 1, 1 to 10. Then I started doing sets of 15. Then I got up to finally just body weight. Then finally I got up to being able to do 4 sets of 25, which is 100 reps. Excuse me. And then once I could do that, I started holding a 10-pound plate. I mean, a 10-pound plate behind my head. And now I'll hold a 25 or I'll hold a 50-pounder at my chest and do it, a 50-pound dumbbell. So that's not bad compared to back in the day. I would put 315 on a bar and do it.
Are you still doing power shrugs these days?
Very little. Since the injury, I've tried to focus more on just using the muscle itself instead of getting momentum. I do behind the back like Lee Haney. See, for a guy that doesn't follow bodybuilding, I sure mentioned a lot of bodybuilding type of guys, but they call it the Haney shrug. But I hold it behind my back so it feels more natural to my lower back. I feel no pain. So I have gone up to 5 plates on each side, 5 plates on each side, which is 495. With no straps, over under grip. I think I did like 12 reps, not really much cheating. But yeah, I think I could do that for 20 if I used my knees. Do a power shrug, but I have not been power shrugging regularly, no. I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid of getting that hitch. Even though my chiropractor, my doctor said my back is good to go, I know that if I screw that up again, I am done. Like, I'll have to have surgery. So the fear in certain movements has forced me more to back off of some of the power stuff and more. Yeah.
I want to talk about ab training, but I want to know first, what are some of your best lists in this department?
I did sit-ups with like 300 pounds on my chest. Did sit-ups for like reps with 300 pounds. I used to do hanging leg raise with a 50-pound dumbbell between my feet. Do straight leg raises, not toes to bar, but halfway up. But since the injury, I don't do that. I still do weighted work. In my circuits, I didn't say, but one of my exercises in my circuit will be cardio because people are saying I look bigger but leaner. But I do one thing of cardio, so it's either jump and rope. I can jump rope and have no pain. Surprise. So I'll jump rope, or I'll do sprawls, which is a defensive drill in wrestling, or MMA, try to shoot on. I still do sprawls. I still train a lot as if I'm a competitor, even though I'm not. See, yeah. So I'll do that for the cardio, and if I run, I get really leaner, and I'm already. I mean, I've never had a 6. I got a full 4-pack, and I've got a 32-inch waist and a 19-inch neck, and I mean, I don't. Running used to, if my left butt cheek shook, it would jam my back. I've just messed around a little bit when I take my dogs for a walk. I might jog but no, I don't run. I'd rather jump rope, do sprawl, some kind of hit in the back, some kind of combative type of movement. I'll do one set of chin-ups, then I'll jump whatever the rep range is, then I'll jump rope for 60 seconds, then I'll go to the next exercise. There's always 5 exercises.
Perfect. So then what are your most effective ab and core movements?
Well, everybody's going to say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, sit-ups. Because back in the day when I did this, sit-ups. And not with a plate on your chest, because that's easier. You put a dumbbell behind your head, you do sit-ups, full sit-ups. I felt it makes your abs blocky and thick. I mean, a lot of hip flexion is in there, but you can't tell me that when you go back, come up, you're not working your abs as well. I don't think the sit-up is one of the best exercises that you could do. There's other things you could do better, but as far as carryover and building strength, sit-ups, because you can progress. Doing all this countless nonsense, look, everybody supposedly has a 6-pack. It depends on how you built, right? I have a 4-pack. So even when I got hurt and lost all my muscle and went down from, I was 212 and went all the way down to 179, 180, I still didn't have a 6. I had a full 4, okay? But the full 4 is because I've always done weighted work. So if you're a lean person anyway, and you can do 100 crunches, whatever, you're going to have abs. It all depends how much fat you take off. You've seen yourself when you've gotten really lean lately, right? You see how much more your abs pop. Everybody's got them. It just depends how much nastiness you have covering. So I think sit-ups, because you can progress. And if you look at again, I'm not into World's Strongest Man either. A lot of those guys, the older school guys like Magnus for Magnuson and those type of guys, they would do weighted sit-ups with heavy weight. That's where I got the idea of doing a sit-up back in 2007, 8, 9 with the 300 pounds. Was via them, because they did deadlifts and they're so much stronger than I am. So sit-ups, and then I think another thing that helped me a lot, excuse me, with the hips was having a dumbbell put in your feet. Have someone hand you a dumbbell when you get strong enough. Don't go doing 100 pounds, which is what I did. Build up to it. Have put a 100-pound dumbbell between your feet. Have someone spot you, preferably 2 people, because if you lose that son of a gun, it's going to destroy your crotch, your face, going to kill you, right? And what you do is you put your hands down on the ground, and you thrust your hips up straight, heels to the ceiling. That's all ab and lower. I got video of that too. That's on Armored Core. Yeah. Those are the 2 most, I think, that were beneficial for me, if that's for carryover. They're not my favorite, but that's what I think are best.
What are your favorite then?
There's 3. Not in any particular. All right, we'll do order. The first ab exercise, my favorite one, is do some kind of a weighted crunch, whether it's with a rope or a strap. Not necessarily on a cable machine, or like, I mean, those work good because it's nice and smooth. It's on a track. Right, but I like doing it on a, I have a, I'm not sponsored by the company, I don't know if I can say the name, but I have a certain company where the strap goes over the bar and you can use a plate. I'm not going to say the name, so I don't know if I'm allowed to, but, and you can do it with weight, put up 25 or 45. So some kind of a crunch when you're on your knees, whether pulling forward or with a weight behind you. That's my first favorite. My second favorite would be a frog style crunch where you put your feet together, knees flared wide, you're on a bench so that your shoulder blades are hanging off, and you put a weight, whether a plate or dumbbell, behind your head, and you crunch with your legs, your feet touching. So here's my elbows or my knees, here's my feet, like this, right? That's a frog crunch that Vince Duran used to do. I like that because by your having your shoulder blades off, you open up your abdominal wall more and more range of motion. And then the third one I like to do, but it's hard to progress really, is I like using an ab wheel. But you get strong enough to do it standing up with a weight vest, and you get. I like things for simplicity. You just grab a weight. Okay, I did this for this amount of reps. Next week I can do this. I like that better than how to put a weight, go at an angle, things of that nature.
What do you think about those who say isolation work is not required for getting the biggest neck?
I don't think they know what the hell they're talking about. Because if you think about it, let's take a power lifter, right? Power lifters are huge all around, right? Some guys are muscular, some guys are big fat guys, but they're super strong, right? So they're going to have a big neck anyway because they've ate a bunch of food. But think about it. When you're doing a deadlift or a shrug, is your neck flexing? Is it going forward? No, it's just standing here. You're not getting any direct stimulation to the neck. So if you do heavy pulls, doesn't mean you're going to hit your neck. I think, look, anybody, if you do heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, power movements, you're going to build your traps. It doesn't mean that you're going to build your stinking neck. You can build your traps, yeah. The only way to, in my opinion, really build your neck is directly work your neck. I mean, that's it.
Besides size, what are the benefits of training the neck? Give us a holistic perspective.
There's a whole bunch of benefits. Number one, main thing is it'll help prevent in whiplash. That's been proven. I mean, if Lord forbid you got in a car accident or something, having a thick, strong neck is going to help you regarding whiplash. Number two, concussion. I don't know how much, there's been a lot of studies lately about prevention for concussions, but again, I got a small concussion when I fell off the back of the bench doing the neck lift with the 300, but I've always worked my neck. So does it really mean that you have a big, thick neck and you get a concussion? I don't know. Can it really prevent? It might help you, because look how many football players train their neck, but yet they get concussions, right? And they train their neck all the time. So I do think you're better off training your neck and have more of a chance of less risk of injury than if you didn't at all. The injury might be more severe. That's a couple. The other thing, obviously, a thick neck will oftentimes act as a deterrent, because if you have a big, thick neck, most knucklehead type of punk people are not going to want to, necessarily try to start a problem with someone that looks like they can take care of themselves or might be too much of a challenge, right? They want to prey on the weak. So I think it has a number of things. Plus, a big, thick neck looks good on a guy. I mean, you don't have a little tiny neck and look like your head's falling down this way, I mean, what woman's going to look at a little guy like that? That's not attractive.
Is side neck work necessary for combat athletes, and how important is it really?
Yes, I do. I didn't do much. I've always said that. Like, I have done side neck work before, but not enough to say, hey, this helped me in my competitive career or whatnot. However, again, now going back to neck flex, now that we have the neck flex, you have the possibility, or not the possibility, you have the excuse me, you have the ability to train rotation and side work, which we couldn't do before unless you could never do rotation. You could do sides if you had a 4-way neck machine, or if you had someone doing manual resistance, or you lay on a bench and put a plate on your head, which is fine. But yes, I wish the neck flex was around back then, because a lot of times in grappling, you're going to get cross-faced. Well, you can work the resistance on that with a neck flex. So I think it's huge.
Thoughts on band and mouth neck exercises?
I just think it's a good alternative because, I never did any jaw work. There was a legendary performing strongman named Greg Matonic. I wasn't real tight with him. We respect each other. I liked him, nice man. And that man would bend quarters in his teeth. He would take a horseshoe and twist it open in his mouth. And he had his cheeks looked like a bulldog, right? And that's not an insult, it's a compliment. His jaw was super strong. So the whole purpose for me of holding the band in the mouth, and there's Thai fighters, I guess, that would hold a rope with a bag, and because it works your jaw muscles so that hopefully obviously keep your mouthpiece in your mouth. I don't think working your jaw is going to help you to be able to withstand a knockout. I think, and again, I'm not an expert in that realm of fighting. I've done it, but I was not. I was always a better wrestler. I don't want to be getting smashed in the face, right? I'd rather take you down and stretch you. I don't think. I think you're either born with a good jaw to withstand a shot, or you're not. I don't know. There's two famous boxers, Sean O'Grady and George Chuvalo. They always chewed bubble gum and contributed that to them having a good chin. I don't know if that's true or not. I think you're either born with it or not. And I think if you get hit just right, you're going to go out anyway.
So would you say it enhances facial or jaw aesthetics?
Yes, yes, yes. I believe so, because like Greg was perfect. His cheeks were so thick. Obviously it was from all the years of holding stuff and biting. So yeah, I think so. There was a famous bodybuilding legend back in the day, Jack LaLanne, who everybody's probably heard of. And Jack LaLanne always said about making facial exercises and things like that to strengthen your face line. So I think there's something to be said about that.
What is it about old school lifters that appeal to you? Because I know you're mentioning these names a lot.
Okay, so I'm referencing to people of the past, and at the beginning of this video I said I'm not a bodybuilding fan, right? What I mean by that is that I don't understand the concept to put on a banana hammock, get out there and flex your muscles in front of a bunch of people that are going to judge you that probably look like the drizzle and poops, but they're going to tell you whether you look good or not. Okay, so I don't understand that. I have better things to do with my time to go up there and flex in front of a bunch of people. Okay, now with that being said, unfortunately the drugs have become so crazy now. I'm not saying the guys back in the 70s and 80s weren't doing steroids. Of course, obviously they're on D-balls and all that, right? But if you look at them, you could take, and this is not new, you could take, 3 or 4 different bodybuilders, and they would all look different. You could tell who they were, cover their faces. You could tell who they were by their body. You can't do that now. They all got turtle shells and friggin', they all look like they're huffing and puffing when they breathe. It doesn't mean they're not good guys. It doesn't mean that people don't like the sport, right? It just means that it's just not my thing. So I pay respect to those beforehand because they just looked good. I thought they looked like what a man should look like. And they had such good knowledge. Like Jack LaLanne was not my idea of like a manly man because he was a little fella. But his personality, his character, the way he conducted himself, the way he talked to the audience for the TV show, it just kind of mesmerized me. And of course I saw that much, heck, that show was on when we weren't even around, right? So that was with him. And I just think it's important to pay respect to those that were there before you because there's nothing new. That's another thing you said earlier in this talk about fitness. Everyone tries to pretend it's new. Something's new. There's jack new. Nothing's new. It was already been there, done that, right? And as far as performing strongmen, yeah, what I noticed a lot about performing strongmen is that they always acted with class. They're always gentlemen, and now for some reason, because it generates more Instagram people or whatever, subscribers or followers, everybody's loud and boisterous. And I mean, I'm loud, but I'm saying, hey, look at me. Look at me. And they all talk with like a potty mouth and they're a little too salty and they want to have a chip on their shoulder. I just don't understand that because, again, I think it's okay to be a little abrasive and be confident. But if you're loving what you're doing, you're loving life, why in the world are you going to be a chip on your shoulder? I mean, I guess because it sells now, right? I guess that's why. Look at the top fighters in MMA and even boxing. That crap sells. I guess, again, I'm not real old, but I guess I'm just more, I like a person that's more stoic and more...
How'd you find out about Performance Strongmen, and were they your initial motivation?
Not at the beginning, because I didn't know who they were. The person, a lot of people don't know this, I always say it, the person that first inspired me to get into even bending anything was Jed Johnson, who used to be affiliated with the Diesel crew with Smitty and James Smith, and they're both nice guys. They were very kind to me. Jed took a spike and was bending on a video he had it was a video on YouTube called Altered Beast. And I forgot what year that was. It was way, way, way back. And I thought, well, heck, if he can do that, I can do that. I didn't even know the guy yet. Didn't even talk through email. There was no cell phones, none of that stuff at the time that I remember. And so I went and got a spike, and I went down the basement trying to bend this stupid thing. I couldn't bend it at all. I thought I was going to blow a head gasket. It was killing me. That's who first originally got me into it. Then I had already sent Bud Jeffries an email saying I thought he was real impressive and strong, and then we started talking, and then I told him about Jed, and he knew Jed, so on and so forth. And so then Bud Jeffries was my first mentor and kind of got me into how to bend and how to do that, the progressions. Then through him, I met Dennis Rogers, and Dennis Rogers really inspired me because he's only a little guy. Dennis was really small, but Dennis was super strong, the most well-known performing strongman ever in history right now. He's now semi-retired. And then all of us are kind of, what's the word? We're like a line off of him because he's the first. Once you're the first, you're the first. You're never duplicated. Often imitated, never duplicated, right? I think that was superstar Billy Graham that said that to fake wrestling stuff. But anyway, that's who inspired me. And then through Dennis, I learned about the old-time strongman, the Mighty Atom, and Slim the Hammerman, and things of that, people of that nature. And then that inspired me because the things they could do are things I can't still do. And to see in the performance strongman world, you can take a guy that's a shorter guy and a taller guy and a really big guy, but yet the small guy can be just as strong as a really big guy. And where else can you really usually get that? It varies, right? So there's weight classes, right? So it was really cool, and a lot of those guys were just very open to teach and show. And nowadays, a lot of people want to pull back. I don't want to show them that. They want it to themselves, right? So I hope that answers.
How obsessed were you with getting strong? When did it all start?
I was obsessed at 13, but that was more due to my childhood. I just always wanted to be strong so that I would never be manhandled and thrown around by a grown man and 260 pound, 270 pound guy that hated me. And I just wanted to hopefully build up enough strength where that would never happen anymore. Never wanted to be a tough guy. I just wanted to have that sense of, okay, that's not going to happen. It really messes with your head when you're a kid and you get thrown around by a grown man when you're 10, 11, 12, and it just messes with you bad. So I was obsessed from that point. I always trained. I didn't let anything affect my workouts. I always say the gym is my safe house, not church. The gym. I feel most comfortable in a gym, any gym, than I do anywhere else.
I notice you don't cuss much. Are there any reasons for this, and should others do the same?
No, I don't think it's important for other people because they or them on me. I used to have a salty mouth. I never really was that salty. I mean, even in the military, I mean, I would cuss here and there, but I was always told that I don't think there's anything wrong with cussing. I don't think it makes you a less man. I don't think it means that, you're a scumbag, none of that kind of stuff. I just look at it like my biological father used to cuss my mother out all the time, say mean things to her. And then the man that used to beat me up would always cuss. And I just noticed that when you're in a nicer setting around a classier type of woman, they don't want to hear that kind of trash. Again, I'm married. I've been married a long time. But back when I was single and a younger pretty boy type of guy, before I became masculinely beautiful and ruggedly handsome like I am now, you got to have some fun. I just always thought a classier woman is not going to hear some guy say, well, F this, screw that. I don't want to be like all Marine mode cussing. So I just, and when I do a lot of shows, people are always watching you. So there's a lot of kids, like I'll delete comments off, even though the person could be nice, it'll be saying F this, F that, I'll delete their comment because there is kids, I don't know if now, but you got to be careful because children are watching. And I don't have kids, don't want kids, but I just think it's important to see how you carry yourself because you don't want to have some kids saying, well, I saw Mike the Machine at a show and he said, well, F you, I don't want that. I mean, what you do in your private life, don't get me wrong. If I'm in my gym in my garage or I'm in my strength dojo in my garage or my business, I'm by myself and I don't get a certain lift, yeah, I'm probably cussing, but I'm by myself. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I don't cuss. I mean, heck yeah, there's been times like, son of a gun, what the beep and beep, yeah, of course. We're all human. We're not perfect.
What are your thoughts on disrespectful people?
I think people are real disrespectful towards each other, but again, if someone doesn't matter to you, right? Like I looked at it now, like I look at it, I've got a small circle. So if I don't know somebody, there's a lot of people that might know of me, but if they don't have any impact on my life, I could care less what they think, what they say. I don't care. It's just words. They don't impact my life none. They're not paying me. They're not feeding me, right? So it doesn't matter. I can't relate to them, so it doesn't matter. They're dead to me. They're just dead. They're just there. They're like a tree, right? So the respecting, when I say I respect you, is because you and I have a conversation. You reached out to me, or I reached out to you, whatever it may be, right? And we started a conversation, a talk. We started to build a small relationship. So therefore, if you were a knucklehead, like I told you before, I haven't done interviews, I wouldn't talk with you. I could care less if you were the man of YouTube. It wouldn't bother. I wouldn't care, right? But you're a gentleman and you're polite. But does it really matter if someone respects you? What matters to me, if someone respects me, is if someone I'm having a conversation with that I like. Then yeah, I want to have respect and give them respect because I don't want to be rude. But someone doesn't matter. Is it going to really hurt your feelings? You're going to go in the corner and cry because they don't respect you? No, I think respect is earned, right? And not everybody's going to feel that way. So I look at it like I keep my side of the street clean. They keep their side of the street clean. They do them, I do me. I just don't associate with that kind of person.
So what do you think about respect? in the YouTube fitness community?
Oh, like you said, this whole fitness thing. This guy's hiding in his mother's basement, putting on weight, taking weight off, gonna knock this guy out. This dude's doing fake weights. Who cares if he's doing this guy's on steroids? Who the flip cares? I'd be more worried about what I'm doing in the gym. Or if you see a video you like, you say, man, that dude's draws out, like with Bugenhagen or Eric, whatever. I reached out to him. I very rarely do that. I saw before he became where he's at now, I sent him a message and said, wow, your lifts are impressive. That is crazy. And he was doing behind the back deads. And I thought, I just want to say, hey, that's what you should do. If you see someone you like, reach out and say, hey, wow, that's awesome. You inspired me, right? Instead of saying, oh, well, that's no good, or this is this. Like earlier I said, I'm not into the whole new gimmick that he has. But that's for what he's doing for work. Doesn't mean he's a different guy. It's just a gimmick. It just doesn't resonate with me. But he's still the same guy. Still a strong dude. And I'm just using that as an example, right?
I notice in a lot of your videos you talk about the importance of being a gentleman. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you believe this is correct in this day and age?
Because I think it's a lost art. I think that a lot of people call me on the comment section, oh, he's a white knight, he's a white mangina or some other crap, or he let his wife walk all over him or some junk like this. And I look at it like, first of all, that's the same clowns if I was doing a strength show in some other state in America, they'd be waiting in line to get a dang autograph. That's first of all. Second of all, I just believe in manners that are now lacking. You understand? Manners are gone. They're gone. People want to be like these tough guys. Like, if you have a physique, what do you got to, like I said, puff yourself up and be a tough guy? What does that do? It doesn't impress anybody that's already been there, done that. It doesn't scare me. You see, I would rather be a gentleman. And even, like if I go out to a store and Lord, they still have the doors that aren't automatically opening, which some still do exist. You got to pull the door open. I'll hold the door for a guy. And then some people take that as weakness. I'll give you a quick example. My wife and I are at the store, right? So we pull up and there's this other car here. So I get out of the car, I go open the door. This big dude gets out of a car and he gives me this dirty look. And I said, oh, sorry, sir, go ahead. And I close it. He goes, you should be. Well, I'm like, what the? Are you? And my wife's like, Mike, get in the car. Get in the car. I'm like, I was being nice. And then this guy wants to act like because he's a big guy that he's going to talk a bunch of trash. And I thought, I was being nice to you. You want to act like a tough guy, So I got in the car. And so there, I did do what my wife told me. See, she told me what to do. I follow orders, right? To all the clowns up there, say she walks over me. I got in the car and shut my mouth. So I wouldn't get in trouble. A white knight, man, John. Yeah, I just look at it like, again, you do you, I do me. All I can say is my life's amazing. I have a great life. It's amazing. I choose to have a great life. I own every day. We don't have tomorrow guaranteed. I'm living my dream. Half these knuckleheads want to talk trash are probably punching the time clock 9 to 5, or they're working overtime hours, and then they take most of their money, right? I do what I want, when I want, how I want, all within the legal ramifications of the law, the state that I live in. Nobody owns me, no political party, no denomination, nothing. I just go out of my way to do what I want to do, is be a good guy, and that's what makes me happy. Doesn't mean I'm better than you. Yeah, that's how I know who I am. Most of these clowns don't know who they are. See, like some people will tell you right now, well, he's not being a gentleman, he's calling people clowns. That's because when you have someone that's a knucklehead that talks trash, you can't talk normal, you can't talk nice to them because they don't understand, because they're too stupid. So you got to talk on the level. You see, that's why I'm saying that. Usually I'll be like, okay. No, so you got to try to talk their lingo and talk down their level. I can't do that. I can't relate. So I just say, okay, listen, clown, here's what we're going to do. Here's your answer. Have a nice day. Go do you. Go bother somebody else.
So how can men find themselves?
That's a good question. How can they find themselves? You're asking real good questions. I never thought of that. You got to find what drives you, what is your passion, what drives you, and then try to do that as much as possible. That's how you find out who you are. So, for example, I didn't come from money, right? So I didn't just say, well, here, I'm going to take all this money and go open a gym. I couldn't even get a loan at the time if I wanted to back then. And I don't believe in taking loans anyway, but I'm just saying, right? So I built it. But my trade is a concrete man. My trade is in precasting with a trowel and a sponge. That's my trade, right? I loved doing that. I never wanted to go to college. I got accepted to art school at a high school but I went to Marine Corps instead. I actually was going to be a cartoonist and whatnot. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot to me. I was going to be a cartoonist or, a concrete man or a Marine. I chose the Marine Corps. So find what you love to do and then build on that. And just don't go with the flow. Like we do one thing. I say this all the time. We do one thing perfect, and that's to be ourselves. And no one else can do us. No one can duplicate us because we are us, right? We're ourselves. So You have something that's special that no one else has, but you got to be you. Too many people try to copy what they see on this stupid fake reality television crap, and they try to be like that when there's already that person. So just be yourself. Like, you're Alex. I can't be you. You can't be me. You found your niche. I found my niche. So just do you. Just be you, and just build off that. Don't try to be somebody else. That's how you find. That's the answer. Be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. When you can find out who you are and stop copying everybody else, you'll be on your way.
I've heard you say own your day on numerous occasions. What does this saying mean to you?
Because as I've gotten older, I try not to think about death. But when I got hurt, again, I'm not trying to make it like, oh my gosh, it was this terrible thing, when there's people that are dying of cancer, and that's not. I don't want sympathy, pity. That's not what I'm saying. But there's always something worse. But for me, it was such a devastating situation. A lot of the scars from my childhood came back because I was vulnerable. I couldn't. Not that I'm not vulnerable now, but if you understand, I was very immobile, couldn't do nothing, right? And I so badly wanted to go out and mow the lawn. I couldn't do that. I had to use a walker. I dragged my leg. And I just thought, well, hey, you know what? I'm still alive. And I wake up the next morning in pain. I still couldn't feel my leg, and I'm still alive. And then I wake up again and thinking, boy, I wish I could get feeling this tingling go out of my leg. And then one day the tingling started to dissipate. And then I started to lift my leg up. And then I started not dragging my leg. And then, you just got to. So after that point, I thought, I'm not going to sit around, do nothing, and just skate on a day. And if it's on a weekend and my wife and I want to just go do a couple things, then yeah, do what you want to, go to a movie or lay down, take a nap, whatever you want to do. Then yeah, but I want to make sure I do something every day that makes me better than I was yesterday. So that's what I mean by own your day. Own your flipping day. Don't just be like you were yesterday. Yesterday's gone. Own your stinking day and do something, because you don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. And don't do it for somebody. Don't do it to impress somebody else. Do it for yourself, but do something that makes you happy, that you say, hey, you know what? I did this today and I'm better than I was yesterday.
Yeah, so do it for you, no one else.
Well, I tell my girls that in the gym that I train. They said, do this for you, not for your husband, not for anybody else. You got to do it for yourself. Then worry about doing it for your children. You got to do it for you, because if you don't do it for you and you don't want to do it, it's going to be more like you're being pushed to do it. Do it for yourself. I tell the girls in the gym and the guys, you got 45 minutes to an hour with me. This is your time for you. Focus on yourself, If you're not having a good day, don't talk to nobody. Just go off to the corner, do your workout, focus on yourself. You'll feel better.
How did you develop this discipline? Was the Marine Corps helpful in this regard?
I wouldn't say it was from the Marine Corps, because I was even disciplined as a young kid in high school. I mean, I would get up. I was the kind of wrestler, and I never had the success in high school wrestling as I should have, because my ego was out of control and I was lost, and I got kicked off the team 2 years in a row. So I didn't fulfill my potential until later on in life in submission grappling. Then I became a 5-time champion, and then I fulfilled my potential. But most of everything I live, my code of life, is via my mom's third husband, Mr. Bruce, the gentleman that adopted me when I was 14. I was a kid in wrestling. Forget my attitude. I'd get up in the morning. My parents had to wake me up. I didn't have to set my alarm. I was up at 4 o'clock. I'd go do my road work. This was before school. I'd come home. I'd eat, or I would go. My buddy had an older friend. He'd come pick me up. That was on a team. We'd go to the gym, work out. I'd come home, eat breakfast, shower. Always made my bed. Always, even before the military, my room was always neat. Mr. Bruce always taught me, be squared away. Meaning that if you're squared away is like you're always dressed, you don't look like a slob, your bed's always made, your room's always picked up. Because my whole thing was always girls. I was always I wanted to make sure that I had a nice, good-looking woman on my arm all the time. Not all the time, so I like to be alone. But you understand, that was my driving force as a kid, along with building my body, was I want to have a nice-looking girl. Well, if you brought someone to my parents' place, of course you had to have the door open, or he would, stomp the mud hole in me probably. No, he would never hit me. But you got to respect your folks. You don't want to bring a girl to a nasty, unsat place. So squared away means your clothes are pressed, your bed's made, your hair's brushed if you have hair. Teeth's always, you got to have your teeth nice. That's squared away. I learned most of the things from Mr. Bruce. And just to never settle. Don't skate. Everybody can skate. That's why people are on checks and just going through the flow, they skate through life, Mr. Bruce always taught me, don't go for what you want. And I was, during my stint in the military, which was cut short due to my injury, I was able to graduate as the honor graduate out of boot camp, which was pretty impressive, And that was a big step for me. Because he was too, so it made him proud.
So how important was Mr. Bruce to you?
I say he saved my life. Yeah, I was in a real dark, saved my life, because of the fact that I hated all men. I hated my mom's first husband. I hated the second husband who used to beat me. I was in a real bad spot, and he came into our lives. I didn't like him because he was a very structured, disciplined Marine. He didn't fit in where we lived. We lived in Massachusetts, where I lived, about 45 minutes outside Boston. He was from Texas, who had a big belt buckle, cowboy hat, cowboy boots. He was a tall man, real skinny, looked like a cross between Clint Eastwood and Sam Elliott, for those older people I don't know who that is. He was a handsome fella, but he looked like an idiot, I thought. I thought, this guy looks like a clown because of the way he dressed, right? But I noticed for a skinny guy like that, when he walked into a restaurant or store, anywhere he went, eyes went on him. I learned that at a very young age. And he walked as if he was like, the size 300-pound muscle monster, but he wasn't. And he didn't have to say a word. And he brought attention on himself in a good way when he walked. And he was married to my mom for 25 years before he passed away in 2011. And he was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, besides having a mom that I have.
Through the years, true character was developed and you figured out what really mattered in your life.
Like I said, life can be short. We don't know when we're going to be leaving. And I just I chose to just have the life I've always wanted. I busted my tail to get to where I am. And everybody's different on that. Some people want to be millionaires and have, Lamborghinis. All that. I am very much a minimalist. I live off the grid. I don't like social media. I come to my house, which is my compound. I have a gate out front. You can't get in unless I open the gate. It's a very modest home. I like simple things. I don't like stress. I don't like noise, and I like to have fun, and I like to train. So if you let outside things, we all have things that happen in life. I have a great marriage, but still things happen. Everything, you have issues. No one's perfect, right? My wife's not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one is. But if you let all this crap get in your mind and play tricks on you, you're never going to be able to move forward. You're going to stay in this nasty spot. And then when your mind gets all clouded and you get in a fog, all sorts of other things comes, like little monsters come in there and they start attacking you. And next thing you know, you're in this funk. And I don't ever want to be in a funk like I was when I was a kid, because life is too good. So the military part is you address the situation, you sort it. If you can't sort it, you attack it till it is sorted. And doesn't mean in a violent way, but you address it and then you throw it to the side and you move on. Now, whether that means if you screwed up as a man, you take responsibility for what you did. If you need to apologize, some people say, don't say sorry, never say sorry. I don't agree with that at all. If you screw up and you made a mistake, you apologize for what you did. If the other person's wrong, then you got to make amends. So I just think it's, why dwell? It just brings your whole down. Your workout's going to suck. Everything's going to be bad. Just address it, sort it, move on.
That reminds me of your saying, where the head goes, the body follows.
Where the head goes, the body follows. And that's what I'm joking around saying, my neck's too thick, I can't get the press look down my finger. It's my neck won't let me. It's been all these years supporting my ears and my big, gigantic ego of a head, so it's not going to look down. It's not going to look up. See, even like that, like people say, well, that's weak. He's making fun of himself. I don't have issues about my looks. I'm joking around. You got to have a sense of humor. You got to play. It's not about me coming out and saying, well, I'm this, I'm that. Who the hell cares? No one really cares who I am, except for a certain group of people. Like with yourself. No one really cares if you're a real close amount of people, right? So people are going to talk. Let them talk. If you can have fun at yourself and joke around, you're too much of a tightwad, man. You got to loosen up a little bit.
I know it's a general question, but in Mike the Machine Bruce's perspective, what does it mean to be a real man?
I think a real man should be a man that is confident in himself, knows who he is, knows where he's going, has bearing, doesn't lose his cool, pop off the mouth. There's a lot of times where I was working security and things of that nature. You couldn't be all working a door. You couldn't lose your cool and act like a knucklehead. I think you should keep your bearing, have tact, have manners, be disciplined, be able to have a sense of humor, almost like a childlikeness. Don't act like a child, because again, if you get married or whatever, or your girlfriend's not your mom. She's not there to feed your bottle, wipe your tail for you, but have a childlikeness. Meaning cut up and like I did, or like play, joke around. Put others before you. Make sure it's not all about you all the time. Because I learned that's what affected me in wrestling in high school, was my ego was so out of control. I thought it was all me, me, me. It really affected me. Where they had aspirations of me being one of the tops top in the state, whereas I only took 6th in the state as an alternate because of my ego. I think that you go along further in life not wearing your attitude on your sleeve. And like I said earlier, you do the work, put the work in every day, put your boots on, put the work in. other people, when you have success, other people will do it for you. You won't have to do it. But that's pretty much it, you know. But again, the other side of that is look at all the guys that act like complete clowns, you know, at top MMA guys like Conor McGregor or Adrian Broner in boxing. They act like complete, utter fools, but look at the following they have, right? Look at the fan base. So that's just how I choose to conduct myself. You do what you want to do. Not you yourself, but whoever.
So you talked about how you used to have a big ego and you overcame it. How can others be humble, and what did you do to realize this?
Like I said, back in high school, I was so arrogant, egotistical. I was a freshman dating women that were 22, 24. I was thought all these pretty girls that were in school were just a bunch of knucklehead drama girls because I was dating women. I mean, I couldn't even drive. Women were picking me up. 24-year-old woman that was divorced was picking me up after school. I mean, your ego goes, boom, you know? And then I was a good wrestler, and I was on varsity, and I was one of the top guys, one of the 3 top guys, and it got out of control. And even though Mr. Bruce lived with me, I was so lost, he couldn't get through to me. And the only thing that cures that is getting the living crap kicked out of you by someone that's better. And when you realize that there's always someone bigger, faster, stronger, no matter how good you are, there's always someone better. And that humbled me. And then when I got in the Marine Corps, I didn't go into thinking, well, this guy's bad. I went into thinking, okay, I'm going to do the best I can, and whoever I have to compete against, I'm going to do my best to beat them. And that's a perfect example. You take a guy that came from a lost childhood like myself, and then you go into the military, and you got all these hard chargers that want to be, you know, hardcore, motivated devil dogs. And I earned the honor grad title. It wasn't just given to me. I was selected unanimously by all the drill instructors in my platoon and unanimously amongst our peers. We all had to take a vote at the end of who we thought should be honor grad. I won unanimously, had the most votes out of everyone else, out of the recruits even. So I just think it's important to I've just gotten further along in life being humble and then being saying talk about me. Like even stuff like this, you're asking me questions, so I'll talk, but I wouldn't be like, well, I did this, because ultimately no one cares, and it makes you look ugly. But that's just me, you know. Again, these other people having success with it, so don't listen to me. I don't.
When you got hurt, that really showed the truth about validation. Who was really there for you? The inner circle, yeah?
The inner circle was the only ones that were there for me, right? That's what I said earlier. That's your nucleus. That's what matters. Most people don't care. They're just going to talk a bunch of trash, look at you, talk behind your back, you know, things of that nature. So I just look at it like I always try to do. I never want to give off the impression I'm doing bad. The less bad you do, the less it gives people more fuel to talk about you. You know, they're going to talk about you anyway, but.
All right, then. We're going to start wrapping up now. Mike, I want to know, what would your best advice be for anyone watching right now? A simple message that can impact lives.
It's pretty simple. We already covered it kind of earlier. Is just know who you are and worry about today. Don't worry about 5 years down the road. In my business plan, I never said, what am I going to be in 5 years? I take it 1 year at a time because we don't even know if we're going to be here in 5 years. Worry about today. Today's a good day. Okay, guess what? We have the ability. We're blessed to wake up in the morning. Another day. Let's go own this darn. Let's get a workout in. Let's get fired up. Let's do this. Own it. Bless people. Whatever way you want to bless somebody, and go again. Take it 1 day at a time. That's how I live my life. I mean, I'm just grateful. That's all I can tell you is that know who you are, have a purpose, and then work towards that purpose. Work towards that passion. When you're doing what you love and you work towards, you're going to be happy. It's very difficult to not be. Just be you. Be yourself. You do it perfect. That's all.
Well said, Mike. So people want to know more about you or inquire. Where can they do so?
If you want to reach me, there's 2 ways. You go to thenetflexmachine.com, and that's where you can get the best neck harness on the market. I'm going to do a plug right now. You can be then, when I find out you get it, you then become, the gates open to Yokeville, and you'll come to Neck Day Friday, Yokeville Day, and I'll teach you how to be a real man, build your stinking neck, look up to the sky, you never look down, you never look at a dang tree stump. That's number 1. Number 2, just go to YouTube and type in Mike the Machine Bruce, Machine Land TV or something like that, then you can find me that way.
Well, Mike, it's been a tremendous honor. Again, I want to thank you so much for being here today. I found that this discussion was extremely informative, and I have no doubt that this will change lives in a major way. So, really, I appreciate it, and I wish you continued success in everything that you do. Business, training, keep doing your thing. So, again, thank you very much. This was truly amazing.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me. Salute on the day. Thank you. My pleasure.